Good morning. It's another wonderful time on the show Morning Delight, reaching you from NTA Benin. I warmly welcome you to the show. My name is John Ime, and today we have a whole lot package for you. So make sure you stay with us and you will never have a dull moment. As usual, I'm not here alone on the show. I'm with my co-host, Pearl Omori. It's another wonderful day, Pearl. How are you today?
I'm fine. Hello, John. You look sharp.
Thank you very much.
Welcome to Morning Delight. My name is Pearl Omori. Like you rightly said, we have another episode packed with not just motivation, inspiration, but as usual, expose and special topics pertaining to society. And we have all the segments for you, but I'll let John take the first step.
Of course, we have all our usual bits on the show. We have inspirational words from Words of Wisdom. We have fitness routine from Fit and Fresh. And of course, we have a delicious delicacy for you today on Quick Cuisine.
That's your favorite.
Exactly.
But for art lovers, we have something special on painting. As usual, for entertainment, we cut across local and international. Sport enthusiasts, you are never left out. And also top stories highlights for the week. But before we move on, let's go on the short break.
All right, let's kickstart the show now with inspirational words from Words of Wisdom. Let's take a look at Words of Wisdom. Yes, wise sayings there. As we journey through life, let's make sure we take words of wisdom seriously. Our next bit on the show is Fit and Fresh. Let's see what's in store in Fit and Fresh.
Welcome to Fit and Fresh. Today, we're looking at aerobics exercise and how it can benefit your overall health and well-being. Aerobics is a type of exercise that gets your heart rate up and improves healthy heart. It is a great way to burn calories, boost energy, and reduce stress.
Keeps me healthy, it keeps me fit, able to move around without stress, no extra unnecessary heartbeats, fast heart rate, burn fat.
And when I was not exercising, I don't used to sleep. Like I sleep for like 2 to 3 hours. But now I use my alarm to wake up every day. So it's very good, it's very relaxing.
Regular aerobics exercise can help you lose weight, improve your mood, and increase your energy levels. It can also reduce the risk of chronic diseases. Ready to get started? Remember to consult with a healthcare professional before beginning any new exercise program. Start slow, set realistic goals, and have fun.
4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 4, 5, 6, 2, 4, 5, 6.
That's quite a routine there, you agree with me?
That's true.
Well, now moving on to the next segment that has to do with John's favorite, which is quick cuisine.
Anything that has to do with food.
And the lady here, I keep repeating it, you're dragging the kitchen
All
with
right,
me.
carry on.
Okay, we're dealing on vegetable sauce. I know you might be like, yes, it's normal, but this one is actually prepared in a very different way. As usual, our wonderful chef is on standby.
Hello and welcome to Quick Cuisine segment of the Morning Delight Show here on Nigerian Television Authorities. I am Praise Audio. We will be cooking vegetable sauce. Firstly, we have our blended tomato and pepper. We have our groundnut oil. We have our dried crayfish and fish. We have our chopped onions. We have our curry and thyme. It's optional anyways. We have our salt. We have our seasoning cubes. We have some protein here, which include cow skin, popularly known as pomo. We have chicken. We have beef too. And we have fish, smoked fish. You can use any one of your choice as well. And we have our vegetables. Join me to the process. Now going into the cooking process of this meal, I'll be using a frying pan. First we'll add our groundnut oil now and make it heat for a bit. As always, we'll start with our onion to give the oil a nice taste. Going with our fish as our first protein going in. Our dried fish. Now let's add some seasoning to it. I'll start with my curry, just a little. My thyme, just a little. Some cube of seasoning. Little salt. This is vegetable, you have to be very conscious. Then you stir. I allowed mine go for just 1 minute. So I'll be turning my fresh tomato and pepper paste into the frying pan now. I'll leave this to fry for 5 minutes before adding other proteins and the vegetable. Now we go back to checking our sauce and see how far it has fried. Oh wow! This is so good. And the consistency, one can trust. What we do next is we add our other protein. To add the vegetable, you have to reduce your fire. Now we go to adding our ugu leaf. Just sprinkle. You might decide to stir, but I'll just be covering mine to steam for a bit before stirring. And after this, the vegetable sauce is ready. We've now come to the end of today's segment, and here is what our meal looks like. I'll be taking my vegetable sauce with some yam. Yam. Oh, very, very nice. That's all we can take today. Thank you for staying tuned. See you next time.
Now to the guest segment, where we tend to discuss important issues pertaining to society and the topic on the rate of illiteracy in our society. As usual, we get to see their profile before we meet them formally. Like you just saw, that was Professor Eddie Eragbe, a seasoned administrator, seasoned lecturer, commentator, media consultant. He wears so many feathers on his cap. I have to kickstart with this one. Since we're talking on literacy, he was actually my lecturer then, back then, days in the University of Benin. It's a pleasure to have you in the studio, sir.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome to the program, sir.
Thank you very much. Good morning. It's my pleasure being with you.
Thank you.
This day. Thank you very much.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
It's always a pleasure.
Yes.
So, John,
obviously.
you can ask my lecturer a question.
Of course.
Okay.
So, sir, we're going to be talking about illiteracy and literacy in our society.
Yeah.
My first question is, to the layman, we want to know what is it to be a literate person? And is it a fundamental human right to be literate?
Well, thank you very much. As I said already, it's my pleasure being with you this morning to again reflect on one issue that is of global concern, and that has to do with the question of literacy. I must state here that when we are talking of literacy, it's a relative thing. And that is for you to be literate, for example, in our traditional society, we can claim that all our people were literate because they knew what it was to speak their language, manage their affairs, communicate, as it were. But as it has turned out today, is that especially from our colonial experience and the new global trends in terms of the language of communication and interaction, it is that fundamentally we expect our people to be able first to communicate in the language that is now what we can call the official language, especially for us who were colonized by the British, which is the English language, and which to a large extent is the major language of interaction globally. And that is, if you were to leave Nigeria today and you go to the United States, you go to the United Kingdom and many other parts of the world, you will find that your English language, your ability to communicate there helps you to go through. Closely tied to it, the question of literacy, is your being able to read what has been written. And that is, say, in the language as well. And so to that extent, we want to state that our colonial masters, and indeed those that started education, always knew that there were those things they call the 3 R's. Though they are not spelled all R's, but they are pronounced R's. And that is, of course, talking of writing, reading, and arithmetic. And this, as it were, first, the two, reading, writing, in English language, and that was what the missionaries and those that started educational system were trying to do. Then what is the arithmetic involved? Numericals. That is being able to say 1 + 1 is 2, this is 3, knowing what the figures are. And these are essential for communication and interaction in whatever society we find ourselves now. And so I'm happy that the United Nations organization, just like my compere was saying now, as I told them in class in those days, one of the new benefits of the United Nations to the world is that they have recognized things that are of global concern and that they should give attention to it. And so we are happy that UNESCO, that is a body that is in the United Nations, saddled with the responsibility of how people should be educated culturally and all of that, decided in 1966 that September 8th of every year should globally pay attention to the question of literacy, as it were. And so, talking about whether it's a fundamental right, yes, fundamental means that yes, it's something that everybody is entitled to, and to that extent, yes, we can say it's a fundamental right. So we are therefore not surprised that our Constitution, as it stands today, the 1999 Constitution as amended, really receives or pays attention to this issue of education. And the first step, of course, is the basic, which is where you must learn to read and write. All other things are built on that. Whether you are a doctor tomorrow, whether you are a lawyer, whether you are a professor like my humble self and all, is that you should be able first to read and write, which is the whole concept of literacy.
All right, so
thank you.
Present time now,
yeah,
this digital era, are there still any challenges for the common man to be literate compared to back then? Because right now, things must have improved.
Wow, the story is very, very humbling and painful for us, because our studies have established that Nigeria, unfortunately, is having one of the highest population of illiterate people in the world today. It's very, very discouraging. And without sounding sectional, the statistics for now are showing that close to about 63 million Nigerians are still illiterate. And that figure is saying, it will surprise you, because it's national television, it can be verified later, that as we speak today, I'm being modest, Sokoto State, for example, their literacy is between 15 to 20%. And what are we saying? Is that close to 80% without illiterate. They cannot read English. They cannot write. And why I was saying this is relative is that it is possible that of this percentage we are saying now, a good number of them can read Arabic, they can speak in it, they can even speak other languages, but when it comes to appreciating what has been written in English or listening and understanding, there is still that problem. And so what we are saying is that yes, digital age should not mislead us to think that we have actually come out of the real problem of literacy in our country. While I was giving that extreme of the poor level, it is on record that the southwestern region, this is where we will say deliberate government policies have a role to play in this matter. Their own literacy level is now is over 95%. That's southwest. East, very high. You have some of those states, a good number of them, despite the fact that there is sometimes this seeming impression that, oh, the people of the East are businessmen, cargo, all of that. The fact is, a good percentage of them have basic capacity. That is the basic education to read and write. Now, what is digital age all about? It is that yes, it can help to facilitate the eradication of it, because almost everywhere you look around now, everybody is carrying a phone and all. But I must say, because I stumbled on one of your programs last night that was talking about, today is now Saturday, but at least on Thursday, watching a program on NTA where a young lady was interviewing people about certain basic terms. What do you mean by this? Because LSDs that are commonly being used. Yes. I am bowing to say it as a professor, I was not quite literate in that area. And that is, yes, because you must learn These things are not miracles, so to speak, that all of a sudden you start speaking in tongues. Even when you speak in tongues, people have to interpret them for you and all of it, because in tongues it's not that everybody, the spirit will come in there. But then what we are saying, in this digital age, the first thing people should be able to do, and that is why almost everybody is carrying phone, is that if I call you, I'm an ASA command, I can say if you're in America, you will answer me in my language. Digitally we can communicate. You get what I'm saying? And then you are seeing pictures and all, but there is danger in what is going on in terms of the digital age, and which is that your television, the mass media and all, if people cannot read and of course write, and what it mean listen and interpret correctly, you could just see pictures and you will not situate them properly. They will just take something from Afghanistan, take something from Ukraine, and tell you, oh, this is not happening in your state. And because you can't understand what is happening, you will, of course, fall for it. And that is one of the points. What I'm saying is that digitally, we can do better. There is easier communication. I can tell you now that most of the things happening about the world, like myself, Humble Adiragbe, if you Google my name, just spell it correctly. Even if you don't spell it correctly, it will even help you digitally to say, is this the person you are asking about? That is, they will help you to spell it correctly. And all of a sudden we tell you, oh, he's a lecturer, University of Benin, he's on television. They may even show my pictures in 2014 when I was at the National Confab. That is, you go to channels now, you Google them, they are there, all the interviews I conducted. So it makes learning, searching easier once you have the tools and the capacity. And that is what I've been telling my students now. In those days, we talk of notes and these materials and all we need to do. I'm teaching you Arab-Israeli conflict. Go on, Google it. You will find it. So if someone is conscious and then is dedicated, focused, you really have these things easier. And so in this age, yes, we can say that if properly harnessed, we can communicate more with people. But one of the things we must take note of is that when you are trying to teach basic literacy, there must be the language that the person you are trying to teach already understands. And that is what you will now be saying. You will now say this is this in the language. When they say cat, cat means this. When they say dog, dog means this. You get what I'm saying? In the language that the person can understand. If we now have such platforms in our phones and in this digital age, then progress can definitely be made. So I'm just saying, let us not be deceived that because of greater usage of these new digital phones and all of that, that literacy has been wiped out. It is still a problem. And we know in our state, for example, when we're growing up, there were deliberate policies to try to make sure that those that missed the opportunity of learning and all were taught. That's what you call adult literacy programs in those days. ICE, Institute of Continuing Education, many of these were there for the people. But we know that when you are saying problems now, I agree with you that economically, Nigerians are really going through serious problems. It's not political, it's real. Because as we always say, when you come to the market, it doesn't know whether you are PDP or APC or any or ADC or any. Everybody lets us price and all of it. And what does that translate to in terms of this literacy thing? Is that so many are trying to survive. And in the process, having time to even go for lessons and all of that is a difficult thing that they can really do now. But we must encourage them that the world we are in now, you must equip yourself. And part of the sad thing, and we'll come to it later, is that here we are in Benin City. You go to Mission Road, you go to certain or some of the roads, close to Holy Cross Cathedral, for example, you see little children that should be in school. They are out there running and holding trousers and things of adults, begging. Their parents sometimes are sitting by the corners. It's a disheartening thing. And why some of us, sometimes over the years, we've been on television and all, we have been saying that our independence, we are sad, is that when you hear of the amount of money that is being spent on certain things that don't directly impact on the people, it's really disheartening. I told people the other day, I was giving my final class about the impact of colonialism on West Africans, and it got to a point when I was summarizing my class, I was almost in tears. I had to hold back. I said, because colonialism as a policy tried to pull down our people. They didn't really want them to get education, to challenge the system and all. We said they were controlling the resources. But here we are. We hear the trillions and things happening, but the educational sector is still suffering. Our children are still on the streets. What is the future for those children? In other parts of this country today, because there is a close nexus between lack of education, that is illiteracy, and the high level of conflict and crisis. Because somebody that doesn't know anything, in quote, you just manipulate the mind and the person will go on. But if I have basic things and knowledge of things, I will ask you questions. I will consider, as they've been saying, Carrie, go and kill this person. You will ask yourself, why am I killing the person? So in all of this, it's a very interesting subject, and I'm happy that the United Nations is highlighting it for us. It is for us to, again, advocacy and appeal to the people in charge to see how, and in all of that, maybe, you know, when you bring me to television, dear Ragwe will speak and they say he has finished the subject even before questions are answered, or ask, let me hold on now for further questions in this regard.
Yes,
thank you very much.
I will just reiterate that you answered my first question. Now to the next one. I'm actually like I'm in class again.
Exactly.
So I'll just listen keenly. Well, now I'll take my second question.
Yes.
You talked about the importance of literacy and some how communities and other organizations can partner to create more awareness and help its people. But my question is, what is really the benefit of this literacy? How does it help an individual to achieve, I'll say, great growth and development in the aspect of health, education, and finance? Because you agree with me then, back then in school, I don't think about the student, they'll say school na scam.
If it's na scam, you go there here now. It's education that gave you the ticket. That's what I'll be telling them.
Yeah, so I want you to reiterate that, because now some of us realize that, school wasn't scam. It's still beneficial. So for those now, it's literacy. Educates them more.
Okay, thank you. Incidentally, I've had to give this sequence of lectures on education. I'm the director of alumni relations, University of Benin now, by the mandate of my Vice Chancellor, Professor Edoba Omorige-San. And what is it I've been talking about? Is that we are encouraging our alumni, for examples, to see how they can continue to support the university. Because education, we say, is central to the development of any nation and any person, as it were. And that is that, yes, there are certain indicators that are now making it look like, is education really worth it? Because you see around you, those that in quote have made it or are making it, who don't really have the education in quote. But let us take note that as it still stands today, those people still have basic education. That no matter how you are going to manipulate the political system, whether elections and all of that, and get to positions, you still need knowledge, basic qualification. Even the scam in quote, the Yahoo in things that they are talking about, these guys that we see around carrying cars and all, they have to know. One of the things we don't know is that Yahoo guys are very, in quote, digitally literate. They manipulate things. And when you are talking that they have broken into accounts, they are very, very highly technically competent, as it were. Intelligent. I'm telling you. So I'm not saying go and learn, get educated so that you can be a scammer or a Yahoo person. But it's that even those areas where you think it's not important, it is important. And then I've emphasized that for any job that you do, whether you are a hairdresser or any of those things, there are instructions, things that you are supposed to do sometimes. And it's like you go to your head person now and say you want to cut your hair, this is the style I want. He has to be able to look at something to say, oh, this is the type. That is why you find that in their shops they even make displays and all. And then most of the fashion things we are wearing now, you see people are googling, you see the demonstrations there. That is, you need these basic things in anything you want to do. Furthermore, we are in a society where until the coming into place now of the President of the United States and some other presidents who are trying to protect their countries, and they are now making the rules about going to their places more difficult. I was telling my students, or most people, that one of the surest tickets you would actually need to go abroad first is having your education. And that is that the doctors that are going there, they are educated people. And many of those that have gone there, they are educated people. But even if you are not a doctor, you did ISD, for example, and you have the small finance, you apply for your postgraduate, they grant it to you. Education makes it easier. You don't have to go through the Sahara Desert and die, or go to Libya and be doing rubbish things in quota and all of that. So education still remains pivotal to any national development anywhere. And the breakthroughs that are happening in science, technology, they are financed or they are funneled and of course fostered by way of education. So for anybody now, I keep telling my students, this is the time for you to acquire your education. Because at the age of 10, 13, 14, 15, 16, what are you doing? You want to marry so soon? What is going to happen for years to come if the good luck keeps you? And then is that anything that happens tomorrow later, have the education. Nobody will talk to you anyhow in quote. I have said, for example, to inspire people, that I am from Apana in Uzairi clan of Esako, and from the outskirts, I got started from a lady of Fatima Aochi, and when I finished, I came to University of Benin. I got my first degree, then I got my master's. It was with my master's that I got a fellowship from the United States government that paid for all my PhD training in Boston, United States. And what was the whole thing? During the time of my training, I was going to the Capitol of the United States, interacting with American Congress members. Although I'm not a politician, I've been to Aso Rock 2 times. I was with President Goodluck Jonathan, I was with President Obasanjo, and what was I doing there? Education took me there. And so what we are saying, education can change your destiny, especially the legitimate ways. And take note, and this is the point I made earlier, our Eastern brothers, when I say Eastern brothers, who are into commerce and trade and all of that, you see that they are going to Dubai, they are going to other areas to do their businesses, cargo and all of those things. How can you do it if the language you are still speaking is your dialect? You cannot. So in all ramifications, you find that education is important for you to have knowledge. It's important for you to acquire skills. It's important to you to make you a decent person, as it were. It's also important for you to communicate globally, as it were, and to interact.
Okay, sir. Thank you so much. This brings me to my next question. I think this goes more like a lame question. What about those having this challenge of trying to read and write? Because like you said, it starts from the stage.
Yes.
You have to understand something, be able to interpret and communicate in that language. How do these people go about it?
Yeah, the first point I want to make here is that it's a collective assignment. First, parents have the responsibility to make sure that their children are exposed to education. That is these basic skills we are saying. It is first. So parents of trust today who failed to make their children to have access to education, they are going to answer to God. I'm really putting that seriously. Because in those days, they used to talk about lack of money and all. But we know that at a time in our state and in the West and all, they talk of UPE, Universal Primary Education. And not just UPE, free. UPM made it a policy, and as we speak today, even our governor here, His Excellency Monday Okpebolo and all, he's investing and saying these children should be given education. And so you should not, because of your inability to provide for your family, now be the one taking your children from school, making them to be getting involved in hockey and others, because you are destroying their future. You must work extra to try to provide for them. So I'm saying first, family has a role to play. Two, the government has a massive role to play. That massive role, and I'm happy I'm saying it, the governor of this state and many others are saying, and even the president of the Federal Republic has said that no Nigerian child should be denied education because of lack of finance. That is why I want to use this opportunity, because I'm in alumni issues, to say that our children in universities now, a time it was, they will say, if you have not paid your charges, not tuition, no, take note. And as I keep explaining, any child that went to University of Benin, for example, did not pay tuition fees. They paid for little things about, this for light and all. But when it comes to tuition, with which lecturers are paid and all, the federal government provides it. But what has happened now is that, talking of government taking responsibility, and our people should be sensitized to move on. If you gain admission, apart from the basic things you will pay, the government is even saying that if you don't have the money now, we are going to give you a loan under what they call the NEL fund. And that loan, no interest. When you finish 3 years from when you have graduated, then you can start paying for it. So it is, those things are already in place. I want to use this. I was coming down to the studio. You talk of inspiration. I am a Christian. I happen to be a knight of the church, Knight of St. Mulumba. And one of the things I think is happening in our churches that they can also do is that, in addition to catechism and some of these things, there should be sometimes deliberate looking out for children in the congregation that we always are preaching to, and all, who, for one reason or the other, have not really been educated, and see whether some basic classes can also be put up for them. And these are things that can be done. And then, of course, I was saying that previously, in our country, in our state, there used to be adult literacy classes and all. That should be further invested in. And one of the things that also is in place, constituency people. My great senator, for example, Senator Adams Oshomole, Senator Imaswen, these great senators, people that are talking of constituency projects sometimes, they should also see whether deliberate efforts can be made to get these people that have not benefited from benefiting. And then, because there are so many of our young graduates now who are unemployed, some I was almost shedding tears that one came to me, I graduated 2010, up to now no job. That is where the idea of education for scam is in place. But if some of our people that are well to do can just set up little areas where you can help your community, you can really change the narrative of your place. One of the things we said in American history is that there are great people. Rockefeller, you keep hearing about their name today. It's not because they can dance too much or rock and all. It's a name of someone who set up a foundation years ago. Then you talk of Carnegie, Ford. These are names that will resonate forever. And I'm also using this opportunity to talk to those that have money. Visit the University of Benin, visit other institutions, give projects. Your names will be named after them. So even when you're gone, your cars are gone, your houses have collapsed, your children are no longer there, your name will ever be resonating.
All right, sir. Since the first ever World Literacy Day, we want to know the significance and how it has evolved from then till date.
The important thing, like I said earlier, is that the United Nations believes that there are issues that should be addressed. HIV, some of these things, and every year they try to pick the ones. And what has happened this year, the one that it was for September 8th, is that they decided to term it within the context of the new digital age. And that is because they have seen that things are moving. And so they also pick their teams and focus based on the new realities on ground. So the question you asked earlier is, how do we, in this new age of digital, as it were, see that this problem of illiteracy is addressed? And I have already alluded to it in my presentation, that while you are putting there fine TikTok videos and things of that nature, you should also see how you can encourage people there to say, go to somewhere, learn something by way of basic literacy that will equip you better to survive in the society that you are in. Because one of the things, we have made progress, I must say. A time it was that there were big lords in certain villages and communities. Why were they lords? Because if they received a letter If a letter was sent to somebody in the village, you must look for that person to come and read the letter for you. If you want to reply, you must call somebody to come and reply on your behalf. Letter writers are not. But today, in most places, we already have people that are on. Let us not forget anyone. Let us pull everyone together. Because an educated society is an enlightened society, is a progressive society, is a society that is not so prone to conflict, which unfortunately is one of the things that is help making it today that education and literacy is suffering in the north. Why? Every day, conflict is in place, schools are closed, people cannot sit and read, because when you are sitting, you don't know whether your life will be safe today again.
Okay, sir, opportunity to have you, so I'm going to exhaust you, I'm sorry. This is the last one before you go.
Yeah.
You actually concentrate on this literacy on these younger children.
Yeah.
Sometimes when it comes to this term of illiterate, it comes to adults. Can you say something about that middle-aged class who are illiterate, or let's put it that way, who are not educated, aside using my brothers from the eastern part? So how do we help these people to measure up in the society?
No, the point we are making, so you put it correctly, is that we're saying that it would be amazing to know that despite the fact they might not be professors, that is the literacy level. Literacy, not illiteracy, in the East is very high. In the West is very high. But then, unfortunately, for the northern part, it's still illiteracy seems to be the dominant, as it were. And because that is, you can see that a good number of them are just shipped down to come and be doing menial jobs or something that for now is taking care of them, but not for tomorrow. And so for those that have missed the opportunity, that is what I'm saying. They missed it when they were young, but they are now maybe middle age and all. They must still deploy themselves to some training. And that is where we are saying the government must still come in. Philanthropic organizations must still come in. Communities must still come in. Our brothers and sisters in the diaspora must still come in. All of them working together to see. And I also mentioned even the churches, the mosque, all of them. Let us see how those people can be redeemed. Because they are really time bomb, dangerous, because they are the manipulable people in the society.
All right, sir.
Thank you so much.
Pleasure to have you on the show.
Ooh, it's like I was a class again.
You are an orator.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. It was a pleasure seeing you again.
My pleasure, and thank you all. And please, Nigerians, there is hope for our country. I am one of those that over the years have said there are problems, but we believe that we pull out of them.
Now we'll move on to the next segment.
Thank you.
The art of painting artwork encompasses the diverse ways artists apply color, pigment, or other mediums to a surface to express ideas, emotion, and interpretation of reality, utilizing elements like line, shape, and texture to create images.
The art of painting is a fundamental and vital form of visual expression. Artists all over the years have chosen to use painting to express the times and the seasons they are in. In fact, in ancient times, the kings and the leaders and the rulers needed to capture their royalty in a way that is timeless and memorable. And painting is the only way they knew how to do so. So painting has always been relevant in our society, even from the cave times. You see a lot of cave drawings being found by archaeologists. It has always been a form of expression. Art in itself is a language that is universal. I specifically will be painting with the acrylic medium. Here are some advantages of using the acrylic medium. The most primary advantage is that it dries really fast. So if you want to do a painting and finish it on the spot, acrylic is the best medium to use. Now I would like to demonstrate to you how I like to paint and the medium which I work with. I basically paint in different mediums. I use the pencil drawing, use charcoal, use oil paint medium, and also acrylic. But in today's lesson, because of the properties of acrylics that I will explain later on, we are going to be painting using the acrylic painting medium. So I'm going to start with white because it's a black background, so I'm going to need white a lot to be able to fill in for the outline of the piece I actually want to paint. So using my palette knife, I'll take some of this white acrylic color and add it to my palette. So the palette knife goes with the palette. And the palette is just literally anything you can use in mixing your paint. So I'm going to use a little pencil to just get a very, very brief free-form sketching of the outlines that I want to have for this piece of artwork. So if the sketch is done properly, the painting process is a lot faster. So starting with a simple round brush, I'm going to use the white paint just to get the outlines ready. There's a challenge with painting on a black canvas. Most colors would not reflect properly on the canvas except white. So having white as the base will help other colors to layer better over the white in order to get most of these colors to shine, especially colors like yellow. They wouldn't reflect properly otherwise. Now when painting, we're actually trying to capture light, which means that colors actually are reflections of light. If there is no light source here, you wouldn't see a color. What that means is, think of it like if you go in a room where the light source there is red, everything will look red. So the natural white light that comes from the sun actually has all the color spectrum inside of it. This is the finished product of this painting that we just started some moments ago, and it's actually a painting of an eagle. An eagle is characterized by their strength. These are very strong birds in their wings. They soar far and high above every other bird in the sky. So the eagle is representative of the strength of our culture, and I really enjoyed making this piece of art, and I'm sure you enjoyed watching this little documentary.
Wow, talented artist there.
Exactly.
Pearl, what do you think about that artwork?
Oh, they're all lovely, and actually fell in love with all of the art because I'm in love with artworks.
Wow.
Like the eagle head was
impressive.
something that. Why did you bake that? You got that
Next time.
You shouldn't have, John. You shouldn't have done that. Seriously.
All right, moving on the show, we are going on our next beat, which is entertainment news. Let's see what's trending, both foreign and local entertainment news. Let's see.
Now your love where they weak me. Now your love where they weak me. I don't tire.
Latest on entertainment gist: billionaire daughter Tenny weds longtime lover Mr. Easy. Tenny, daughter of billionaire Femi Otedola, tied a knot with Afrobeat star Mr. Easy Olusegun Oluwatosin at Jibade. The lavish wedding was held across 3 countries: a civil ceremony in Monaco, a traditional Yoruba ceremony at the Otedola residence in Dubai, and a church wedding at Hall Grishkan in Redskreek, Iceland. Pichiku, the sister of Temi Otedola, the bride, and the daughter of Femi Otedola, called it one of the most emotional weddings of their lives. On the international scene, superstar Cardi B spotted on the streets promoting a new album. In a bold and playful promo move, Cardi B was recently seen selling an upcoming album, Am I the Drama, on the street of New York City, just like an old school hustler. Come on! She set up a blanket with CDs, vines, insects, and even blasted Bob Marley music, calling out prices and joking. My labor, I said, and I quote, I gotta sell these myself. She also created a special courtroom edition of the album using memes of herself from a recent $24 million lawsuit victory. That's all we got to bring your way on the entertainment table. Up next is our top story for the week. Update on the kidnapped victims of the Edo City Transport. Kidnappers demand 15 million ransom for the Edo bus passengers. Abductors of passengers from an 18-seater new Edo line bus and a Toyota Camry along the Owan Auchi Road have reportedly demanded 15 million ransom of each victim still in captivity. The attack, which occurred on September 5th this year 2025, where gunmen intercepted the vehicles and forced passengers into the bush. The Edo State Police Command later rescued 16 victims, but several others remain held. Among those still in captivity is Gloria Ihabu, who was returning home after her father's burial in Okwepe, the Sako East Local Government area. A family member confirmed that kidnappers had contacted them. However, they are begging Governor Mondo Pablo and everyone to help rescue Victoria. Police spokesperson CSP Moses Yamo said he was unaware of any ransom demand, but assured that security operatives were still combing the bush for the victims. The Owen Auchi Axis has long been a hotspot for abductors and armed attacks, with criminals exploiting the dense forest terrain. The latest incident has renewed call for stronger highway security in Edo State. And to our sport enthusiasts, you weren't left out.
Nigerian Super Eagles were head to a 1-1 draw by South Africa's Bafana Bafana at the Free State Stadium on Tuesday, leaving both sides with a point in their World Cup qualifying group. The match began with the South African pressing aggressively, trying to capitalize on home advantage. The visitors fell behind in the 25th minute of play when South Africa forced an own goal from Nigeria's captain, Trust Ekong, giving the Bafana Bafana the lead. Nigeria, however, fought back and were rewarded shortly before half-time as Bassi powered a controversial header into the net to level scores at 1-1. The 2026 FIFA World Cup qualifiers in Africa are being played under a new format with 9 group winners automatically qualifying for the tournament, while the 4 best second-place teams enter a playoff for 1 intercontinental ticket. Nigeria, who are chasing their 7th World Cup appearance, now sit behind group leaders with Benin Republic and Rwanda also in strong contention. Meanwhile, Nigeria must now win every remaining match and hope for South African slip up in their remaining 2 matches. Here are some of the results from other matches played. That's it on Sportrail.
Okay, on that sporting note, we have come to another end of another exciting edition of Morning Delight. I've had a great time. What about you? But make sure you join us again, same station, same time next week. But join us on all our social media handles to get the program live on our social media handle.
My name is Bella Moyi, and I want to say thank you so much for joining us on today's episode.
Thank you so much for joining us, and we promise to bring you a better package next week. Till next week, we say
stay delighted.
Bye.
And Green Park Academy, by my right, scored 80 points, and they are the champions for the